Well, we found a way to win another game at home. I was very proud of our team. Strong effort with what they were able to do. It's interesting to look at that stat sheet, and you would say that how did they win that game? I think we were opportunistic on the turnovers. That gave us an opportunity to get some points on the board. I think the defense, did a lot of bending, but didn't break. Offensively, we still didn't have a lot of production, but their production came when they needed it. We had a 90-yard drive when we needed a 90-yard drive. Big turnover that was a result of that, and very stressful game. But it was a hard-fought win. I'm very proud of this team. They're starting to develop, that competitiveness and that drive to just fight for 60 minutes. This is definitely something our program's going to build on. It's really going to be part of who we are. That's our fabric, is being fighters. We got to continue to build this program the way that it used to be. We're going to get it back to that level. And I think the mentality is starting to come back, but we still got a lot of work to do. It was a good win. Got one left, so we're going to try to do our best one more time next week against Utah.
Questions for Coach?
We'll start with the turnovers. What was it about your defense today that you were so optimistic? I mean, there was couple of lucky bounces. I know Robert Barnes' interception was a tip, and the fumble there at the goal line that Jack got. But you guys got to be in the right spot to make those plays too. So, kind of what was?
I don't consider that lucky. Those are things that we talked about. We got to be opportunistic when we're around the football, and there was a very, very strong sign of that today. Jack was ready to pick up a fumble that was left out on the field in the first quarter, and he picked it up and ran. How about Nico Reed on a great defense on a go ball in the end zone? He makes a great play for an interception. Robert Barnes. I mean, so on and so forth. These guys, we're trying to preach that. That's how we play defense. You have to preach, for the turnover factor to work. You got to look for opportunities for that to work. It doesn't just the ball just falls to you. It's got to be generated. It's got to work out. And that was a good sign today that the defense really stepped up and made some opportunities come to existence today. So it was good.
When Washington cut it to 3 and they got the ball back, could you talk a little bit about that defensive series that your defense had and what that says about them to get that stop?
They knew what the situation was as soon as we had a 10-point lead. When we kicked it back off to Washington, they come back down and score relatively quickly. We tried to get a first down offensively, burn some timeouts, and then the ball was back in their possession. So they know they needed to make a stand, and that was something that this team is learning, through this process. Understanding the adversity that games present, and then how you have to step up, and not necessarily. I would say 4 or 5 games ago, Adam, it might have been that feeling, well, who's going to make the play? I think this team is understanding that I want to make the play. Instead of waiting for someone else to do it, when they're around the football, they're trying to generate the play to be made. So we've been preaching that for quite some time. It was good to see that happened, particularly in that last series, because they stepped up, and wherever the ball was and who was around it, they were making plays on really getting some critical stops. And so it was good to see the defense finish the game that way.
Carl, third down defense was a place of struggle for you guys tonight. There seemed to be countless 3rd and 7s, 3rd and 8s, 3rd and 9s that the Huskies managed to convert, especially over the middle of the field through the air. And I know you have to go back and cut the film and do some analysis tomorrow, but just from your vantage point on the sidelines, were you noticing anything out there just on how the Huskies were able to convert on 3rd down, especially through the air across the middle of the field?
Well, they were doing it quite often, and we were trying to find the right solution to stop those things. Sometimes those guys were just out of coverage just by a few yards here and there, and but got to give credit to that quarterback. He played his best game of the year. I think there were 14 of 21 on 3rd down, which is really crazy. I mean, that's unbelievable. That many 3rd downs and being able to convert that many. But we definitely have a lot of work to do, Justin. I mean, it is. Our situation is that we're playing with some newer players because of injuries and a lot of things. We're a little bit nicked up, But the bottom line is we got to fix those things, and we know that, but we found a way to overcome it and get a victory, and I think that makes, at least makes us be able to swallow that fact, but we still have a lot of work to do.
You mentioned a couple of weeks ago Nate Landman was kind of trying to negotiate to get back on the field. How close was he to possibly playing on defense today? And, just talk a little bit about him being part of that victory formation at the end.
He was close. He's devastated. He wanted to be in this game particularly for sure, the last home game. But we just didn't feel it was worth the risk. He's not completely healthy yet. But we felt to honor him and for who he's been in our program, when we were able to get in that victory formation, was to put him back as the kind of the guy that's in the protection part of it. It was good just for him to be on the field for one last time and take a few snaps.
Can you touch on the Senior Day celebration and kind of just the pageantry of it and what makes it so special and different from, NFL football?
Well, it's more because we know these families. We're so tied into the recruiting process and, getting to know them over the course of time. They become part of our family, the Buffalo family. So when you see they're departing and leaving to bigger things, it's always that emotional side that affects you. Every one of those guys are great young men that are going to be doing a lot of positive things in life. And the way I look at it, when I shook their hands and gave them hugs, it was emotional because, I felt like I didn't have enough time with them. I've only had a year with them, but yet we've come so close in such a short period of time. But it was good. I feel great that we came up with a tough victory, and at least their last time on campus on that field, that it was a win for them.
Carl, offensively, from your vantage point, what was going on there that you guys just weren't able to get much done, except for that really the first drive of the day and then the last drive of the day?
Well, it happened when it mattered, when we really needed it, didn't it? We started out the game pretty good, with a fast start and getting some points on the board, and they're a really good defense. I was talking with Mark Johnson about that earlier in the week. Watching their body of work all over the season, they're challenging at times with what they do, and it just wasn't a great matchup for us. They were stout inside, where the run game was really hard to really establish, and then their passing system, because they put pressure on the quarterback, they're one of the top passing defense statistically programs in the nation, not just only in our conference, but in the nation. So it was challenging where it was hard for us to manufacture some yards, but we still left some offense out there, like we've been in the past. But at least the biggest thing to me and this is a great game that really is a great testimony of it, is that if you take care of the football and the other team does give up the football, so it doesn't matter how many yards you get, if you're able to capitalize on some of those turnovers, it still gives you a chance to win, and that's what we did today.
Sticking offensively, Brendan Rice gets injured on his first pass play.
It's not a major injury, but it's something that, we think that we thought that maybe he can come back in and play, but it was starting to stiffen up on him, so we decided to hold him out, because he's got a chance next week.
And how about Levante? We didn't see him tonight.
Levante's he's not currently in the program right now.
You had some juniors that participated in the Senior Day ceremony there. Was that an option you gave those guys to participate in that?
That was an option that we gave those guys to participate, because they're graduating. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach. We'll have a couple players. Good question. So I believe we will have Carson Wells, Matt Lynch, Mustafa Johnson, and Robert Barnes. have Matt Lynch, Carson Wells, and Robert Barnes. Questions for these guys?
Well, just for you guys that are playing your last game, what does it mean to go out there with a victory, and getting this one in a hard-fought game, Matt and Carson?
I mean, there was no better feeling. At the end of the game, I got teared up. Saw Nate out there in the victory formation. I feel like there was no better way to end the game than that.
Be able to sing that fight song one last time in Folsom means a lot, and the whole senior night or senior day process for sure had some tears in the eyes, and it was hard to hold back a little bit, but I'm glad we were able to hold it off and secure the win.
Robert, I'm guessing you didn't get as much playing time as maybe you anticipated early on, but what allowed you to stay patient and talk about making some of those big plays out there? What did that feel like?
I mean, that's all God, if I'm being honest. I think that, I've worked on my faith for so long, and, I have super strong faith. And, I never wavered in my preparation. I prepared the same way every week, and I knew my time was going to come. I told both of these guys before the game I was going to give them everything I have. And, I'm just happy I was able to go out there and contribute and, get these guys a win and send them off right.
Carson, it's kind of a weird game for you guys defensively where they just kept hitting big plays on third downs and seemed like there's so many times they were going to march down the field and score, but then you guys would come up with big plays. Defensively, what was kind of going on that allowed those big plays? And then talk about you guys just being in the right spot sometimes to create some turnovers and some sacks, things like that.
On those third and longs, we got to get better pressure. Can't let the quarterback just sit there and wait on the crossing route to just outrun somebody. And then we just kept playing. I mean, the whole time we kept telling each other we're playing for each other. And I feel like we got to the first turnover inside the 5-yard line that Jack took all the way back. We just kept playing the whole time. It was bend but don't break. We kept fighting the whole game.
Kind of building off that, Carson, what was said as you guys were getting ready to go out there for that last defensive stand against Washington?
Sack the quarterback. Get after him, affect him, hit him, everything. Just get after him.
Matt, you haven't been able to touch the ball a lot, during your time here, but you had a huge catch on that last drive. Talk about that play, but then also what it meant for you guys to finally get something going at a time you really needed it offensively.
Yeah, that catch kind of sparked the drive to go down and seal the game off, but it was something we game planned. We knew it was going to be there when they gave us the right coverage, and it just got called, so we had to execute.
For each of you guys, is this the kind of game that can carry over in a way? It's such a long time to next year. You've still got a game left to play, but that momentum that the guys have and the taste that this fan base feels, it's going to make you guys feel good. Do you think that can carry over the young guys who are going to have a long time to think about what they do in the future?
Yeah, definitely. We had a lot of young guys playing tonight, get some experience. That's crucial moving forward for the program.
Carson, you mentioned Nate being in the victory formation. It was kind of cool to see that, and he was in street clothes most of the game. At what point, do you know at what point they kind of said to him, go get your pads on?
I saw him with like 3 minutes left, and he still had street clothes on. I'm not sure when he changed. I don't know when he changed.
Were you surprised to see him out there?
No, he told me he was going to do it. I told him he should have taken a snap.
That's what I wanted to do, is take a snap.
Robert, just defensively, you guys have been beat up the last few weeks. So to have a performance like this where you don't give up a whole lot of points, how much was that needed for that group?
I mean, I think it was awesome. Building off his question, too, I think that it just makes our bond that much tighter. Like Carson said, I mean, before every drive, you could just look in everybody's eyes. And, I mean, we wanted to win that game, and we were going to win that game. And I think that just builds so much momentum going into Utah, knowing the task we have at hand there. And, I'm so proud of these guys that we just were able to go out there and, put on the performance that we did.
Any other questions?
I've got one, and Robert brings up momentum. Looking back, what has changed in the last month, if any? There was a lot of talk about the staff change, obviously. Well, you finished with 3 home games in a row. You could see the fight and the momentum picking up. What did change from, say, Halloween to now in hindsight, or the middle of October to now?
Yeah, so that's kind of just going back to practice and the mindset we have at practice every single day. We had a couple more periods that kind of focused on good versus good to give our quarterback, offensive line good looks against a defense that kind of helped B-Lou progress, and that was something that we've seen, and that's been good, and defense has been balling, so yeah.
Anything else for these guys? All right, thanks, guys. That'll do it up here.
Appreciate you.